Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Adrienne Montgomery. I'm with ERP VAR, and I'm so pleased to be joined today by Paya and Starship. We're going to be talking about Sage 300, how to streamline payments and shipping. We have Mike Fields. He's the Senior ERP Product Manager over at Paya, and Matt St. John. He's the Senior Sales Executive over at Starship. He's going to be talking about the shipping automation. A little bit about the companies. If you see here on your screen, Paya is a leading provider of integrated payment and frictionless e-commerce solutions, and they built a robust integration with not only Sage 300, but a mini front-end CRM and back-end accounting systems in addition to Sage 300, all of the Sage systems as well, including Sage Intacct. And this enhances the customer experience and workflow with your Sage 300 system. And then Nuvei recently acquired Paya, and Nuvei is a large Canadian global tech company with some very comprehensive Canadian functionality to their payment system. So you can expect to see that additional functionality specific to Canada in addition to the United States in the coming months. Allowing you to accept and make payments, expedite receipt of money, increase operating efficiencies. Paya processes over 40 billion in annual payment volume across credit card, debit, and ACH and check, making it a top provider of payment processing in the U.S. And Nuvei is a top provider of payment processing in Canada. So it's a great marriage between the two companies, with Nuvei acquiring Paya. And Paya serves more than 100,000 customers in healthcare, education, nonprofit, government, utilities, and other B2B goods and services. Starship was founded in 1987. They are a flagship shipping solution for Sage 100, Sage 300. They have a 500 integration. They provide integrated multi-carrier shipping software that integrates your warehouse with your front office. They have FedEx, UPS on track shipping automation for parcel, and among others. And then LTL carriers, DHL, Holland, UPS, YRC, Old Dominion, as well as regional carriers like Pitt, Ohio, and 3PLs such as Freightview. And then in Canada, they have Canada Post, Canpar, and Purolator. So today we're going to be talking about the Sage 300 integration, but they also have mature, streamlined shipping integrations with Sage 100, Acumatica, Dynamics GP, Dynamics 365 Business Central, QuickBooks, SAP Business One, and Epicor. Been around for so many years, and the shipping technology has evolved along with that and the needs of the customers. They also have integrations with Amazon, BigCommerce, and eBay, Magento, and WooCommerce. And with that said, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Mike Fields over at Paya. He's going to talk about the Sage 300 integration with Paya Payments. Thank you, Mike.
Hello, everybody. All right, so what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to show you how to process within Sage 300. Sage 300 has several ways that you can process. You can process through sales order entry. You could process through AR entry. There's also a automated process as well for credit card processing. We don't have enough time to go through everything, so I'm going to show you how the AR processing works. Let me go ahead and pull that up for us. What Paya has as well is that you have the ability to save credit cards within the software as well. So it makes it easier if you have a repeat customer and you store the card. It makes it easier to grab that card and process rather than asking for the card multiple times. And you could do that as a standalone. So you could go into the AR customer file. You can store the card from there, and then you could start processing. Or what you could do is you could actually process, or you could store on the fly while you're actually doing the transaction. That way you don't have to do that two-step process. So we do use a program, small program. It's called Paya Connect Desktop, and you'll see that here in a minute. And basically, that is installed on each user's computer that's going to process transactions, and it basically acts as the connection between the software and Paya. So when you store a credit card, you're actually not storing it on your servers or or in the software. The Paya Connect Desktop will take that information, encrypt it, and then put it on to Paya servers, which we call vaults. And then when that transactional information is needed, the Paya Connect Desktop is going to go out, going to grab that information, going to bring it back in, okay, and then process it. No time will you or anybody that's unauthorized see any kind of full credit card information, like I said, in the software or on your or anywhere on the server. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start process. So we're going to do receipt entry. Okay, so if we click on receipt entry, there we go. So we have our batch number. We're going to click on that. We have our bank code. So this is a I have it. I don't have it defaulted to a bank that I like yet, but you can have that defaulted to a bank, so you don't have to change anything. I'm going to change this since I have a U.S. account here. I want to change it to a U.S. bank. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and put in our customer. All right, so let's do Mr. Ronald Black here. All right, under the payment code, I want to change this payment code to the payment code to where I have the Paya credit card. Okay, so on here you can select different payment codes for different different credit cards. Like you could have one for Visa, you could have one for MasterCard, or you could just have one that just says credit card, and then that's going to encompass all of the card brands. Okay. All right. So now the receipt amount, I'm just going to put in $20. Okay. We're going to go ahead and grab all of the invoices here. Okay. So we see all of the invoices here. So what we can do under the apply column, we're going to click on, we're going to double click in the apply column. It's going to change from no to yes. That means that we're actually recording something on this particular invoice. And then in the applied amount column, you're going to see the amount come in automatically. So I'm going to click on yes, and then you see the applied amount in the of $20 here. Now, what you can do is if your customer calls up and says, "Hey, I want to pay as many invoices as this money will allow," you could certainly do that. You can certainly double click in the applied amount and put in a specific amount, and then you could do that to each of the invoices that you can, so all of that amount is applied. Okay. And then what's going to happen is that when you charge the card, it's going to charge the card for the whole amount, and then it's going to take that money for each particular invoice and apply it to those invoices. Okay. So we're going to do $20 here. Okay, we're putting in our $20. Okay, so we have $20. So when we hit save, what's going to happen is that you see the charge and the quick charge come up. All right, so these are different. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I want to show you what a charge looks like. Okay, so we're going to click charge. It's going to come up with the process credit card. So you have your card ID up here. We already have a stored card here. If we had more than one stored card, we could click on the magnifying glass and we could see all of the stored cards here. Okay. Now, we don't actually have to use a stored card. If the customer says, "I want to use a different card for this one particular purchase," we could certainly do that. How we would do that is we would click on the box that says enter a card for one-time use, and everything would blank out, and then we would be able to enter in the cardholder name and address and information, and then put in our own card. Okay. But for time purposes, I'm actually going to do a stored card. Okay. So over here on the right, stored card, you see under card details, you see the card type, the card number with everything but the last 4 of the card X'd out, and then you see the expiration date. Okay, this is, like I said before, this is the only thing that you will see in here. Okay, so we're going to click on process payment. We see the Pi Connect desktop pop up. That's the connection that I was talking about. So we see that the card number is here and it's grayed out. That's because we're using a stored card. We see the expiration date that we put in. Now we see the CVV number. Okay, CVV number is not allowed to be stored. That's why you see a blank here. So if you choose to use the CVV card, that would have to be entered every time. Also, you have the edit button here. If we click on edit, what this is going to do is this is going to blank out the card number so you can enter a card in for one-time use. Okay. But like I said, we're going to use a stored card. So we'll just cancel and you'll see the stored card coming back. Now, what you also see is you also see what's called the used card reader. We do have a card reader that you can attach that will allow you to swipe the card if you have any kind of storefront or foot traffic. You can swipe the card and then that information will automatically populate for you. Okay. So we're going to put in CVV just 111. We'll click next. You have the billing information, which can't be changed at this point. And then you click on submit. When you click on submit, you see the credit card's charged. We click OK. You see under transaction details, you see the time, the date, and then you see the authorization number. So a credit card transaction is what we call a real-time authorization, meaning that that the information that you get back will tell you if the card was approved or if it was declined for one reason. So you get that answer right then and there. Okay, you don't have to wait. At this point, we click close, and then we could click post if we want to. Okay, we could also print a receipt down here at the bottom. We could void it if we needed to void it. If we void it, then it's not gonna void the receipt, but it's going to void that transaction. Okay. You also have this quick charge here, which is grayed out because we've already processed it. So the quick charge is an easier way, and a quicker way to process the transaction. So if you noticed when we hit charge, the Pi Connect desktop came up. We had to verify the information in there. We had to hit the next button that goes to the billing information, and then we had to hit submit. When you do a quick charge, everything happens in the background. Okay, and the only thing that you see is the note that says the credit card was charged. Okay, obviously if it was declined, then you would get a decline message and then you would get the reason for the decline. Okay, that is how you do a cash receipt within Sage 300. Like I said, there's multiple ways to process. If you process through order entry, we could certainly do that. Shipment entry has an option as well. And then you have more options through your accounts receivable to process as well. So that's it for my demo. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Okay, perfect. So everyone, again, my name is Matt St. John, Senior Sales Executive here at V Technologies. Appreciate everyone taking time for joining our webinar. And really kind of today, I'll be doing a brief overview, but of course, please feel free to reach out if you'd like to schedule a deeper dive. You know, we can slow down and really show you all the bells and whistles of Starship. And before we get started, let me just switch over here. A little bit about V Technologies. I know Adrian did start off, but as you see, we were actually founded in 1987. We are located in Connecticut. And nice thing with V Technologies in the development, support, QA of the Starship program is we're not outsourcing anything. So for example, our support team, if you have an issue, you can call them, reach out to them, chat, email, and you're going to get the great group of guys that are located in Connecticut. Again, not outsourcing anything. But With Starship, we are a certified solution for carriers like UPS and FedEx. So basically what that means is things like our shipping labels are going to be delivered to you already certified. Of course, those carriers do require their labels to meet their specs. So we take care of all that for you. You don't have to worry about doing anything like that. Also with UPS and FedEx, they do have subsidy programs. So if you are taking advantage of those, you can use Starship is a part of those programs. So if you do qualify for free funding, of course, you can use it to purchase Starship. All right, yeah, we actually do integrate with over a dozen other ERP systems, but of course today we're going to talk about that integration with Sage 300. With Sage, we've actually been working with them for over 24 years. So again, integrations within the Sage world, 100, 300, 500. I've been working with them for a long time, a Sage Gold Development Partner. And of course, over the 35 years that we've actually been in business, we've had over 10,000 companies that have used our shipping solutions to help streamline their day-to-day shipping activities. Okay, oops, I'm gonna X out of there. So on my machine right now, this is the actual Starship program. So as you see, it does live outside of Sage 300, but kind of the nice thing with that is really as a shipper, I can just work, live, breathe, play inside of Starship. So I don't have to be inside of Sage 300. Technically on my shipping workstation, maybe out in the warehouse, I don't have to have Sage 300 installed. Okay, so really, again, as a shipper, going to be able to just work inside the Starship program. Now, as far as workflow goes, as you see up top here, we do have different source documents we can pull by. So we can pull by sales order, customer, shipment, or invoice. Honestly, a lot of clients that use Starship and Sage 300, they do pull by the sales order number. And with that workflow, we actually have different options. Of course, we can tell Starship, hey, bring in the sales order information. When the shipper processes the sales order, automatically update the sales order record with the shipping information. The other option, what a lot of clients do that are pulling by sales orders is, okay, Starship, hey, when you write back that shipping information into Sage 300, once we process the shipment, automatically create the shipment record. So therefore, inside Sage, you can actually really just create sales orders, have the shipper pull against those, and then when we process them, Starship would automatically create that shipment record. Okay, so again, just different workflows. And then of course with shipments, we would pull against the shipment record and write back to the shipment record. Okay, so again, just different workflows. But regardless of the source flow that we use, I also want you to know that Starship is a live connection. All right, so even though I'm not inside of Sage, or maybe I don't even have Sage installed on my workstation, just know it is a live connection. So in this scenario, where if we were going to pull by sales order numbers, as you are adding new sales orders, Starship's going to pick those up. Or maybe someone wants to go in and make a revision to a sales order. As soon as they do that and save or post, Starship's going to pick up those changes. So again, it's a live connection looking at the Sage 300 data, bringing in the data, and then of course, once we process it, sending the data back into 300. So again, all around live connection. With our workflows, Starship does support multiple companies, warehouses, locations. So here would just be the company I'm connected to. The source field in this area is I have options. I can have, maybe on my pick sheet or whatever I'm shipping against, I could have that sales order number barcoded. And then with Starship, just have a regular wedge type plug and play barcode scanner, scan in the order number, Starship would automatically load it. Other options, of course, you can type in the sales order number, or as you see down below, we can even manually look up that order that is ready to be shipped. If we want to use this manual lookup, just know as when the shipper logs in, they can actually customize these lookup, this screen. So for example, they could sort by any of these columns, they can move columns around. If they like, they can even add, remove columns. So as you see, I've some columns selected, others not selected. But again, just different options to their preferences. And other things like I have here, I have actually an order date filter turned on, but they can also filter to narrow that search result. And again, these filter fields, these columns, they are live Sage 300 fields. In terms of processing, things that we do support like group related, if I wanted to, I could select this option. And in my system, I actually have Starship set up to show me, hey, in this case, you have 3 orders going to the same address in California, in Los Angeles. So as a shipper, I could select all those. And I could quickly, just drill down into them. I could select those 3, or maybe in this case, we only want to send 2 out of 3. But regardless, what we can do is then click create shipment, and Starship is actually going to consolidate these 2 orders into one shipment. So technically, you're not sending out multiple orders that are really going to the same ship to. Okay, so again, just some different options. We can also have Starship group by the PO number, so same PO number. And same thing, if you are scanning or typing in the order number, we could set it up where Starship does do that search, and instead of automatically loading that order, it would, show the shipper, hey, I basically see you're trying to ship this one order, but I see all these other orders going to the same ship to. Okay, and that gives them the opportunity to actually consolidate. Now in this scenario, I'm just going to quickly manually grab this one shipment. So I'm just going to click the little truck icon. And as you're going to see, what Starship is going to do is it's going to bring in all the shipping information from Sage 300. The way we actually communicate with Sage 300 is it's simple data mapping of fields. So we could really take any of these Starship fields and point those to standard Sage 300 fields. We could also use user define if you have custom fields set up. The other nice thing is that in this case, because we're pulling by the sales order, it doesn't mean we're limited to just looking at sales order fields. So for example, I have clients that do third-party type shipments. So they actually might have that third-party account number living in a user-defined field on customer maintenance. And we can simply just map that in from the customer maintenance field. So again, we're not limited to just looking at sales orders, but really we want to set up the whole system. So as a shipper, the less they're going to have to click, type, touch, of course, the better. Okay. So really our source information is, as you see, is just telling us what we're pulling by, the company we're connected to, in this case, the order number. Sender information is either going to be your company information. Here's just an example where I actually have a Sage field mapped in, Starship's looking at it, and it knows to automatically change this to show like it's coming from a Tractor Supply Company. So we also fully support blind drop shipments. And again, just different ways we can automate that process so the shipper doesn't have to manually make a change. Recipient information, with domestic type shipments, Starship will do address validation. We do validate zip +4, and we do validate the residential commercial flag. So going to help save on those address correction fees and the residential commercial correction fee. Our transportations, now really with Starship, because it is what we say multi-carrier, multi-mode. What I mean by that is, as a shipper, I am going to be able to process small parcel, LTL, again, blind drop shipments, international shipments, all just through the user interface. Okay, so it's not like I have to, jump to a different carrier's program. With Starship, we do have live integrations with over 24 small parcel as well as LTL type carriers, and I'll show you that in a minute. But because it is multi-carrier, multi-mode, what we're going to do is use your ship via codes to tell Starship the carrier, the service, the account information. Here's just another example where Starship knows, hey, this shipment is going third party. It's automatically changed the drop down for me. This database drop down that it's also automatically selected for me is actually one that we have where you can store your customer's address information as well as their account numbers. All right. So again, just different ways we can automate the whole system. Also third party, we do validate that billing account number. So Starship is not going to allow the shipper to send out anything with an invalid account number, because I'm sure, as you're aware, you actually have to end up paying for those shipments if you do that. Okay, so again, there's all my shipping information by carriers and billing types. Next door, our shipping details are just our options. So again, if you had Sage Field set up where we could use to trigger maybe automatically selecting insurance, Starship would do that. With these fields, you can also manually select them, or we can even default them. So for here, I'm just telling Starship, always use the carrier email program. As you see, mapping in an email address from Sage, but we can bring in multiple email addresses. And you can even set up the system where, like in this, I'm only going to use the carrier email if there's a delay or an exception. With Starship, we also include our own e-notify program. And I'll show you an example, but that program actually is going to allow you to create your own custom email templates. So you can send customers emails with your company information, item box detail if you'd like, but the real nice thing is the tracking information is going to be hyperlinked. So the client can click on that, be directed to the carrier's website, and then hopefully they're not going to call you just to find out, hey, where's my shipment? Where's my order? Okay. And of course, in this scenario, I'm shipping from the States to Canada, but just know Starship does fully support outbound shipments out of the United States and as well as out of Canada. And as Adrian mentioned earlier, we do support the carriers like Canada Post, Purolator, and so on and so forth. Okay. All right, so again, that's my shipping information. But in most live environments, the first spot a shipper goes to is this packaging area. Again, what we're going to try to do is automate all this information above, so they really don't have to worry about filling out anything. And we can even make this a tab sequence so it takes them right here. But this is where we're going to actually be able to see, hey, what was ordered? What are we shipping out? Add boxes. Again, if it was an LTL type shipment, we can do item, box, pallet, detail. But in this scenario, as you see, I just have all my items coming into one default package. And now from here, for example, maybe I need a second box or package. So if so, I can simply click this little icon. Starship quickly adds that additional package. Now, other options is maybe we need 5 boxes, 10 boxes. Maybe it's a large order. So we do add these repeat box functions. So now as a shipper, I could quickly just click this and tell Starship, yes, repeat this X amount of time, even copy the weights if they're already entered or set up. But now once I click OK, as you see, Starship quickly adds those additional packages. Right? From there, next step is if we want to get into the item box detail, with Starship, it is simple drag and drop. So I can just grab items. I can grab a single item, multiple items. You can split quantities. But as you see, it's just simple drag and drop. Now, in showing you that, also know that this item to box detail is not a requirement. So, if you do have a large order and I don't want my shippers to have to move around, 100 line items, just know it's an option with Starship. Starship's not going to yell at them if they do not put an item in a package. For example, this one is yelling at me because I at least need a weight. But as you see, once I add a weight, Starship's not going to yell and say, hey, I can't process that shipment. All right. So again, item box detail is an option. Same thing with this packaging database. So Starship does allow you to, if you are using set size boxes, bags, bales, pallets, whatever it might be, it does allow you to set those up. And the nice thing with using the packaging database is once we select the package, Starship's going to automatically populate the dimensions. Okay. Now, again, that's an option. You could leave this as custom. And if you'd like, have the shippers just manually type in those dimensions. Also with the dimension fields, we can make that a required field. So the shipper has to type in information there. Our quantities here in my system, again, I'm looking at the sales order. So I'm just telling Starship, hey, look at what was ordered, what's available, bring that in. So that's one way we can do it. You can also just have everything come in as zeros. We do have a security feature that does allow your shippers to modify the units on shipment. So that way, maybe you want them to assign what's being shipped. Or in this case, maybe we went around and, hey, you know what, Sage inventory must be off. We only have one out of these 2 desk notebooks. So they can change that value. Of course, what they change the value to is what's going to write back into Sage 300. Okay. Our next field is our weight. So usually a lot of clients, hey, we have a scale, integrated scale. So Starship will support that, throw the box on a scale, it returns the weight. You can manually type in or adjust the weights using the up-down arrows. Or like in my system, I have the weight set up for each of my items inside of Sage. So as you see, Starship's automatically calculating those weights for me. It's just another way I can automate that process. Bill weight next door, if you're unaware, this is going to be dimensional weight. So nowadays carriers do charge by the dimensional weight, not necessarily the actual weight. So Starship will always run the carrier's dimensional calculation. And in any time where we have differences like these scenarios, just know Starship is going to rate shop at the correct dimensional weight. The other nice thing is that when we process the shipment, it will go to the carrier at that correct dimensional weight. So later on, you're not going to receive that bill that says, hey, you sent this out at 6 pounds, dimension it's 19, here's the difference. Right? The other nice thing with displaying this is in this scenario, as a shipper, I can say, hey, we're actually going to be probably charged more than double of the actual weight. Can I get this into a smaller size package? So that's the other nice thing with being able to see that dimensional weight. All right. So again, that's our packaging. Usually after that, then a shipper will scroll down here. And then this is where you're going to see those carrier integrations. So like I said, small parcel, LTL. But what we're doing is pinging the carriers with your live account information. We don't have anything to do with the rates. It's all still what you use and negotiate with your carriers. But we're going to ping them and return information like business days, total days, ETA. The published list charge, that's published list rate, what everyone sees. The contract column, that's going to be that live negotiated contract rate that you have with the carrier. And again, being a live call, if I rate shop this tomorrow and say overnight UPS or FedEx or whoever, they up a fuel surcharge. When you rate shop the next day, you're automatically going to gain access to those new updated rates. All right. So again, live call, there's no staging tables. There's nothing that you have to download or update. And then finally, the applied charge column. This is actually what we usually write back into Sage as what we want to charge the customer. Now, in saying that, we can also do write back rules where if you wanted to, for example, the order came from a website, we already charged our customer. So we can set up Starship with write back rules where we tell it, in this scenario, do not write back that freight amount. But applied charge could also include plus or minus any freight rules. So up above here is just a breakdown of the different charges that the carrier is going to hit me with. But here, actually, I don't have any set up. I apologize. I forgot to set some up. But with Starship, we can do things like percentages, min maxes, flat rates, calculations, and they could be based on like customer number, ship via codes, even line item detail. So, if you're shipping a certain item that you want to increase it by, say, a flat rate of $3, that could be set up, and Starship will automatically see that and do that calculation automatically. So again, plus or minus, add additional charges or fees or whatever it might be. The other thing with rating is we can even automate that, or you can. You can set up these rules. Like for example, I have this rate shop scenario where Starship knows, okay, if it's a small parcel shipment, only show me my small parcel carriers because I don't need to see all the LTL carriers that I have set up. The other thing, if you want to do best way shipping, hey, you know what, Starship? When this comes in, automatically rate it and then select the least expensive carrier or maybe least amount of delivery days. So there are even options on how to automate that whole selection of the carrier and service. Okay? Now, normally we would just do the ship and process, but one last thing I want to show you with Starship in this line item, this is usually, again, another area the shipper doesn't have to click into, but this is just a database that Starship has for your inventory items. And the reason we do that is because, for example, with LTL type shipments, inside Sage 300, maybe you're not storing NMFC code, subcode, freight class. In this example, international. Here we could store all that required international information. So now as a shipper, I don't have to stop and fill this out. It's already set up for me. Again, just streamlining that whole shipping process. And like I said, of course, if any of this information is living inside of Sage, we can map it in. So again, it's up to you, if you want to use Starship's database or just have it all flowing from Sage 300. Right. So again, usually we bring in a shipment, we'll go to packaging, maybe get some weights, put some items in boxes, and then maybe scroll down, do some rate shopping. Then we can either click ship and process, or under the shipment dropdown, you have options, shortcut keys. You can save shipments, create return labels. If you need a return label to go out with an outbound shipment. Yep. Valid state, not a valid state. That's interesting. We're having all technical difficulties too. Oh, well, that helps if I had a state here. There we go. Okay, so we'll just do that again. So here, I'll just do the ship and process button down here. As you see, Starship's going to give you warnings. Even for carrier services, we'll give you warnings. Hey, this is going to incur an oversized fees, things like that. But in a live environment, once the shipper clicks ship and process, Starship is just then going to print out the shipping documents. So for demos, I PDF everything, but normally our shipping labels are going to go to a thermal printer or printers. Just know Starship, we can tell it where each of the documents get printed to. So usually thermal printer label goes first, then followed by a packing list. With the packing list, those can also go to a thermal printer if you like. Of course, we can send them to a laser printer, or even you could tell Starship, hey, save a copy as a PDF to a network shared folder. So again, a lot of different options with printing. Other things we can do is customize documents for you, like, for example, this packing list. We can create unlimited templates, and on each template, assign printing rules. So here, as you see, Starship knows that, oh, this is a blind drop shipment for Tractor Supply Company, automatically using this special packing list that has their logo and their information. Okay. So again, documents are just going to print out. So box 1, box 2, international documents we can generate. Again, if it's LTL, bill of lading, pallet labels. So really, we're going to be able to generate all those documents for the shipper. And as you see, all the information will be populated for them. So really, I don't have to come in and fill out anything. Here's an example. This one I customized so it's signed and dated. It's ready to go. All right, so commercial invoice, certificate of origin, again, everything's filled out. We also do support with UPS and FedEx, kind of those paperless options that they have for the international documents. So if you want to use those options, you can. So really up to you if you want to have Starship generate the international documents. But again, just to kind of review that, we're going to click ship and process, documents print right out. And then what Starship's going to do, we're just going to go right back to the main Starship screen as a shipper. Okay, and really kind of rinse, repeat, grab that next order, go through that whole process one more time. Now, what I'll do, I'll show you the right back into Sage, and I actually have this turned on to automatically create the shipment. So I'm just going to go into my shipment entry, and we'll go to our last shipment record. So here's for the sales order we just processed. And as you're going to see, we are going to write back each individual tracking number. Your live system with UPS, this would be the actual tracking number. Of course, I'm using a demo account, so it all comes back as X's. But again, that would be the live tracking. So there's your tracking information. We do write the freight amount back to a miscellaneous code. So in this case, I'm using TF. So there's that information. On the customer tab, if you like, we can do like a master tracking number, send that back here. And then on the totals tab, this comment section, this is up to you if you want any additional shipping information to go back in here. We do have a grid that, basically you can select what goes back into this field. Okay. And then of course, here's that freight charge that we want to charge the customer. All right. So really, that's how simple it is to, and I did say I was going to do it rather quick, but kind of dragged it out, but showing all the options. But again, that's really how quick it is, how we integrate with Sage 300. Other things like reporting tools, we do include our dashboard program. This does not require any additional user seats or licenses. But so if you wanted, anyone can access this. Maybe in the front office, someone wants to see, hey, what was shipped? As you see, voided, late deliveries. I can see some information. Or if I wanted to, I could drill down into the actual Starship record. Some of our clients use this because maybe a customer calls back and says, hey, I didn't get that packing list, or this document was missing. So you can reprint or view any of the documents that Starship generates right from here. Okay. So again, you're going to see in here, we just have a whole bunch of different options. Heat maps, I have this set up. Hey, show me where all my shipments are going. Canned crystal reports. If anyone wants to run a report right out of the box, they can do that. And then, of course, in here, earlier I was discussing that e-notify program. So I'm going to show you here is where I can see what sent, failed. In this case, I'm just going to go to pending. And then here is an example of an email I created. Again, you can attach any documents that Starship generates to these, but this is going to allow you to create your own custom email template or templates. And you can include things like PO numbers, Sage 300 fields like sales order number, maybe carrier, where it's going, number of packages, ETAs, that's accurate, that's coming from the carrier. And then if you like, you can even show them that item box detail. Or this could just be package 1, package 2. But as I mentioned, hyperlink tracking number kicks them right back to the carrier's website. With these templates, you are going to be able to design your own. And on the templates, you can do emailing rules. So for example, this template, I have this 20% off promo code. You could hyperlink fields if you want to kick them back to your website or wherever you'd like to take them. But the point being is, maybe only want this template with the 20% off promo code to only go to certain customers. So you can do that as well. All right. But that's really kind of what I wanted to show you. Again, any questions, please feel free to reach out. With Starship, we can talk about, it is cloud-based. We have different plans based on shipping volumes. So we most certainly can review all your options. The nice thing with cloud is that you do gain access to all the carriers we integrate with, unlimited users, all our e-commerce integrations. But like I said, if you need anything else, please feel free to reach out. But I appreciate everyone taking the time, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, Matt. I do have the contact information up here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close it out. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.